This episode is not appropriate for children. It contains themes of horror, violence, death, paranoia, discrimination, coarse language, and fire. Specific warnings and their timestamps can be found at the end of the description.
Mark, I know it's been a few days since you left your last message. You're right. This is bigger than us, and maybe we have gone too far, but this is about more than us now. Maybe it always was. Darwin spirit, right? That's the whole point of these recordings, that this terror is putting everyone in danger and someone has to stop it. And that's us. I've been looking into Bill. That's why it's been a while. And I know he's dangerous, and I know that it would be way smarter and safer to walk away, but Granddad, you should have seen him, Mark. I mean, you know my granddad, you know that he's stubborn and determined and that he doesn't let stuff go, ever. I got the tape tangled up in one of his Australian crawl cassettes when I was 6, and I mean, he still brings it up anytime any of the songs from it comes on the radio. Hey, El, Downhearted's playing. Haven't heard it in such a long time. I wonder why that is. But for that one fight with Bill, and he's been different, Mark. It's like he's missing or something. Like his body's just running on autopilot. Even Nan's worried they're in the city for the weekend because she's booked him into some neurological specialist. But I know that's not the problem. Bill's the problem. This thing is the problem. And I told you I'm not letting anything bad happen to my granddad. So I got Glenn at the library to get me up to speed on all the stuff Granddad was looking at. And I know my granddad was so angry, Mark. Bill's been pulling so many threads behind the scenes, it's hard to keep track unless you're looking for it. He's the reason the RSL closed 6 years ago. We got told by the council it was lack of funding, and I remember Granddad complaining about it and my dad saying everyone was making sacrifices and it was an unavoidable loss kind of thing. But at the same time the RSL closed, there was a different account that got opened under the council's umbrella, the Town Invigoration Initiative. Glenn says that's what had Granddad so angry. It's this massive well of money. Glenn thinks there might even have been a different account before, but the records are so bad it's hard to keep track. Every year it gets more things filtered in, the RSL closing, less funding to businesses, community initiatives shut down, old roads left unrepaired. And so I maybe did something kind of stupid, really stupid, actually. I broke into Bill's office. I made sure he wasn't there. Those club nights you mentioned, he still does them, and I don't know if it's the same crew or not, but I knew he'd be out, and there was a town hall meeting tonight, and I really wanted to see what he was up to before he spun whatever lies he was going to tell. I wasn't alone. Glenn kept lookout, and I know I shouldn't be bringing anyone else in on this, but he and Harriet from the council's office kind of have a thing going on. Andrea talks my ear off about it every time I go into the cafe. So he was kind of the only way I could get a key, and I trust him. And he thinks we're just exposing town fund embezzlement, not, actual pure evil or whatever this thing is. And Bill doesn't know he's involved. I made sure. But there's a stack of transactions in the office. All the new council financial records that we haven't been able to see, and Bill started spending the money on the town fair. This thing's going to be huge, Mark. Outside vendors, TV ads, 2 of the radio stations from the city are coming to cover it. He's hired some C-list TV celebrity as a special guest, and the projections for the tourist numbers say it's going to be 3, maybe 4 times bigger than it's ever been. Thousands of people, Mark. And then we went to the town hall meeting tonight, me and my dad. There's been graffiti at the shop and he wants help from the council to clean it up, but Bill got up at the end and he started talking about the fair. unveiled all the big initiatives me and Glenn discovered, and then he announced the final event. It's a bonfire, Mark, out by the Billabong. He wants everyone there. The radio people are sticking around for it. That TV celebrity is going to be the one to light it. All those people in one place with all that fire. Look, Bill's way past involved with this thing. He's been putting this plan together for years now, and who knows what he's been doing in your time. He's getting as many people as he can in one place, all at once. And this terror is going to be there too. That voice right at the start, it said this thing preys on fear and panic, but what if it's worse than that? What if it hurts people? What if... I know you're scared, Mark, but we have to stop it before it gets that far. We have to find a way to keep everyone safe. We have to.
Look, I want to say it, but I know I'm well beyond telling you to be careful. You're a good kid, Elle. I know you're smart and strong enough to be able to handle all of this. I hope my girls have grown up to be like you. Sounds like a smart thing to bring this Glenn bloke into it. Not making a big fuss or anything, but it helps not being alone. These recordings have helped. Even though we're all these years apart, I feel like we're helping each other out. You've made me brave. I went and had a chat to Bill. Had it all planned out in my head for a few days. I caught him when we were walking on the weekend and asked how he was going. Then I said that my work at the shop had me interested in the business of the town, and maybe I could help him out or be a part of his big plans. And he seemed to like that. Wanted people on his side, helping out whatever ideas he had. We got chatting, and he invited me on this little hunting trip he and his mates were going on. He said they don't really shoot anything, but it's good to spend some time with other blokes. You know what I mean. So I organised with the missus and packed for the next weekend. And it was a pretty small thing. Me and Bill with some of his other crew. Paddy from the RSL, Wayne, who works on one of the properties near Grandad, and a fella I don't know very well called Eli. I think he was some kind of an accountant or lawyer. We spent the first day driving out together, and it was nice. Chatting, singing some of the classics. They're all good blokes. I felt included. I almost forgot about all the stuff with Bill. We found a nice spot and set up camp right near a little cluster of trees. Not native, but they seem to be thriving. The most we'd get out here are some rabbits or kangaroos, but I don't reckon that was the point of the trip. It just seemed like an excuse to get out, get away from work and just relax. Everyone went to sleep that night and I stayed up for a bit to see what was up, but everybody just slept through. Bill was in the tent next to me and I could hear him snoring all night. Everything seemed to be all right, but I just couldn't ignore what we've said. He's deep in it, and I can feel it in my gut. Every time I look at him, I think he's giving me some kind of weird sideways look, but I can never quite catch it for long enough to be sure. But anyway, we all got up the next morning and I went out with Paddy, because Eli and Bill wanted to go off separately to see what they could find. I didn't want to be away from Bill, but I didn't want him to notice that I was being weird. I spent the morning with Paddy. It was getting pretty chilly and Pat had forgotten to bring a coat. I was wearing mine and I reckon I was more used to being out and about than Paddy was. Plus he's no spring chicken anymore, so I let him have the coat. It was an old green one, bit rough around the edges, but Paddy was happy for it. We went around and didn't see anything. The whole thing was pretty quiet. There was a moment that Paddy thought he saw some rabbits ahead, so we moved off. I stayed back just in case they ran off, and I could see where they went. I can still see him. He was just moving along. He was sort of crouching in the dirt, nice and low, so the rabbits couldn't see him. My green jacket in the bushes sort of disappeared, you know? Then there were two shots, one from either side, and the jacket turned all red, and Paddy fell to the ground. They shot him, wearing my coat. They thought it was me, Elle. They saw the coat, and they thought it was me. Bill and Eli rushed out to see what had happened, their faces all shocked. When they dropped the guns and rolled him over, I saw the look on Bill's face. Surprise. No tears for the bloke he just killed. Nothing. Then he looked around and found me. And he looked me dead in the eye. And his face was burning with rage.
Mark, I think we might both have gotten ourselves too far into this. I think we need to do something. I think we need to face this thing. If we don't do it now with what happened with you and Bill, with what happened last night, I'm scared we won't be around to stop this thing before it's too late. Something happened here too. Granddad's still in the city. Whatever Bill did, the specialist had him admitted to the hospital there. Nan's staying with him, which means they needed someone to look after the property. And well, Ed from down the road was doing it for most of the week, but he had to go to his brother's in the town over a couple of nights, and I said I'd do it. It's not that long of a walk, and I had a fight with my dad yesterday, a bad one. I've been getting distracted with looking into Bill, and I blew off a couple shifts to do research, and Dad, I thought he was okay with it, but it turns out he's pretty peyote. Well, he said some stuff about how I'd changed while I was away, and that all this identity stuff had made me selfish, that I didn't understand responsibility anymore. So I called him an effing homophobe, and, well, we both decided it was a good idea for me to stay at Granddad's for the night. Mark, you said Bill tried to kill you, and I think maybe this thing tried to kill me too, or scare the hell out of me at least. I was sleeping in the spare room at Granddad's near the back of the house. It overlooks the paddock, and at like 2 a.m. I woke up to this noise. It sounded like keening or moaning, but then it turned to screams, like ear-splitting screams, like something was dying, like everything was dying, and then there was this rushing, the same kind of rushing I heard when we had that bushfire when I was 10. Louder than the screams, louder than anything, like the world was ending. So I didn't think. I just threw my boots on and grabbed my bag and I ran. I know I should have stopped for the photo album or Nan's jewelry or something, but I just ran. Mark, I don't know if I've ever been that scared. I swear I could feel the flames on my heels while I was running, even on the road. But when I got far enough away, I turned around, thought I'd see how bad it was, if I should call the CFS. I don't... But there was nothing. No flames, no burning, just the dark. And I didn't want to go home, so I called Glenn and spent the night on his couch. I ran all the way there. There's blisters on my feet the size of 10-cent pieces. But this morning, I asked if he could drive me back to Granddad's farm to make sure everything was okay, to make sure I wasn't going crazy. And the house was fine. No damage, no fire, no anything. But then we went out the back to check on the horses. And I was right. I had heard fire, but it hadn't touched anything, not the paddocks, not the farm equipment, not the barns, just the horses. We found their carcasses, Mark. They burned alive, like the fire had only touched them, like it had wanted to kill them. Like it might have wanted to kill me. I know you're scared and that Bill has already tried to kill you. But Mark, I think if we don't try and stop this thing now, we might not get another chance. That it'll come for us again, and we might not get away this time.
I got it. Elle, I found it. His weakness, or its weakness. If the fire and Bill are the same thing, I still don't really know, but are they the same thing? Who's in charge if they're not the same thing? I mean, it's like when I saw Bill that night with his mates, it seemed like he wasn't in charge. Anyway, sorry, I'm quiet. The family's still up and about, but I just had to tell you. There's been a bit of a cold snap recently, and the house has gotten real chilly. we've mostly been rugging up, but today the missus asked me to chuck on the fire. It made me real nervous, but I could see that she knew I was getting weird about it, so I backed off. She lit the fire, and I could feel it staring back at me. I knew, and it knew. All of the flames seemed like it was moving slower, like it was, it was calling me, sucking me in. But I just stood there, right on that spot, not moving, staring at the flames. I could see it starting to grow and burn hotter. It was like fingers coming out of the fire and pulling itself out of the fireplace. Then I heard a scream. It was just like what you said, like an animal or something. A chill ran through me. It was like a gust of wind had come through the window right to me. I turned around to see what it was. I was so worried that something had happened to the girls. But nobody was hurt. Nobody was even screaming. It was my wife. She was calling out to the kids to clean up the mess from their jobs. They'd been out cleaning the garage of old toys and stuff we were going to get rid of. And amongst all that was an old jerry can we'd brought in. She was annoyed they'd brought it into the house because it still had some gas in it. So I said I'd take it out, but when I grabbed the can, there was a sound. It was like the screaming, as if it came from everywhere, but it was this big breath in, and it was held. I looked over at the fire, and it had frozen. The fire was frozen in fear. I stepped towards the fireplace with the gas in front of me, like some kind of hero with a sword, and it started squealing. The fire was terrified of gas. I always thought gas would fuel the fire, but I don't know what to do about this, but I just... Bill, what are you doing here? You think I'm going to come with you? You know, Bill, I've been talking to a mate of yours, and he doesn't seem too keen on this. The kids found it in the garage. Maybe you'd like to give it a whiff. Yeah, that's what I thought. Get back into your car, mate. We're on to you.
You've been listening to Best Left Forgotten. You can find and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Best Left Podcast and on our Best Left Forgotten Facebook page, where we post updates, info, and additional content. Music by Kevin MacLeod at Incompetech.com, licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0. Cover art by Caddy Wampus, who can be found on Fiverr. Thanks to Jess Wolfendale, our editor, Miriam Feats, our social media manager, and Nathan Quadrio, our GM and producer. If you enjoyed our podcast today, please leave a review and tell your friends.